age of 99. He was my hero. A veteran of World War I, he had been wounded in action and had been taken prisoner at Monchy-le-Preux to be held for 17 months in German work camps. Twice he had escaped and twice he had been recaptured. Weighing 150 pounds when he went to war, he weighed only 90 when it was all over. He was a survivor, someone that a young child could proudly look up to. Many nights when I was very young, I would sleep at the granddad's. During these visits, I would often question him about the war and his involvement in it. For some reason, he never did mind talking to me about this terrible time in his life. Perhaps it was the innocence of a child's curiosity that permitted him to speak so freely about the war. Once, when I was about 9 or 10, I remember asking Grandad how it had felt to kill someone. His reaction was nothing more than a weak smile and, "Oh, I don't know, you got used to it, I suppose." It could not have been easy to explain to an inquiring child that killing another human being was just about the worst feeling one could endure. He must have known that in my imagination, I could visualize him kneeling at the Lewis gun all those years ago, finger on the trigger, blazing away at the attacking enemy. And that to this naive child, war was still glorious, because I didn't have to think about the sights he had seen and the men he had killed. He had had a whole life to think about them. The stories he told were never volunteered, they were always told because I had asked. He never bragged about the things he had done, but spoke openly and honestly. Occasionally there were some humorous stories to lighten the tales of hardship. I often remember how Grandad told me of the time in Edinburgh when his army chums wrote his name on a list of challengers who wished to step into the ring with the local boxing champion. Expecting him to say that he had won the fight, when I asked what had happened, Grandad responded, "He beat the daylights out of me." My image of him remained untarnished, however, for even as a youngster I knew that it took guts to get into the ring with a professional boxer. As I grew older and my attentions turned towards girls and rock music, I remember spending less time with Grandad. Yet we continued to enjoy each other's company whenever we were together. He would sometimes call me and invite me out to his house to share a small drink of whiskey. During these visits we talked of old times, modern times, and just about everything else. Our relationship had taken on another dimension. No longer were we just grandfather and grandson, we were also two men enjoying a drink and a chat. It made me proud to know that Grandad could somehow see me as almost his equal. A few years later, I moved away to go to university and then to teach in a number of little outports. Gradually, Grandad's body and mind slowed with the stealth of age, and finally, after a period of time when he lived with my parents, Grandad voluntarily entered the Veterans Pavilion in St. John's. His many years of independence had come to an end. 6 more would go by before the night that I received the call. Grandad's heart was failing, and the doctor had been called in. When I entered his room, he was lying peacefully with his eyes closed and his hands folded across his chest. We were alone again, just like it had been on many occasions before. But tonight there would be no whiskey and no stories. The life had already left his tired old body. Deep inside, I felt an overwhelming pain for not being given the chance to say goodbye. I could not believe that Grandad was actually gone. At that moment, I knelt down beside the bed and gazed upon the face of my hero. Wept like a lady.